Okay, everybody, welcome to another video review. So this has been a long time coming. I'm pretty excited to be talking about this. Don't know how long this will take. I think there's been a couple other YouTube videos that's been out. I'm one of the first ones to get it. I think in the US, but a couple other places overseas, especially in Asia, have already gotten it. And I think a few YouTube reviews are already out, but there's not a lot of this guy out there. I'm one of the first to get it, but it just has taken me a while to get the time and energy to appropriately talk about this. First of all, he's huge and very heavy. I mean, even outside of the box, I've got to believe he's close to 40 pounds, maybe a little bit more. The box itself is, I think, 60 to 65 pounds, which means that it was just impossible, at least for me, to manhandle very easily. Luckily, when you get all of it out, it's a little bit easier. The base alone is easily 25 to 30 pounds. The base is super heavy, which, I guess I'm glad, because it is the foundation that this piece is going to be sitting on. But maybe they could have made it a little bit less heavy. It's a little bit crazy. But anyways, enough rambling. To start off with, this is the Alien 3 dog maquette or statue, however you want to describe it. And it's a collaboration actually between Prime 1 and Coolprops. This is the DX version, which is sort of like their exclusive version. And the reason it's a DX is because it comes with a alternate bust and alternate bust and head. So this is extra, only exclusive to the DX version. So the regular version, I believe, is still available and just comes with this head right here. So what's the nature of the collaboration? Well, I believe that the actual prop comes from the Coolprops company. They make quite a few Predator Alien pieces. A lot of them one-to-one life-size busts, and I think they pride themselves on creating these collectibles from the actual movie used prop itself. But Prime 1, I think their contribution is sort of like the finish, the production. They use their factories, and they kind of put it together. And this is definitely a Prime 1 piece, in my opinion, because the quality of the finished product is really, really high. And unfortunately, from Coolprops, they've had some issues with their production pieces, and this doesn't feel like a Coolprops piece at all in terms of the paint job and the finish. So in case, for some of you who don't know a little bit of the history, this is the alien creature from Alien 3, where Ripley kind of gets stranded on a penal planet with a bunch of convicts with double Y chromosomes, more violent. And one of the facehuggers sort of stole aboard, and then it attacked one of the dogs on the planet. And because the host is a dog rather than a human being, this is sort of the result. It's a quadrupedal monster instead of bipedal as a human being. So the movie actually doesn't show, as with most of these movies, because of the limitations of budget. The movie doesn't really show the dog alien, like completely, full body. It doesn't show quite a bit. A lot of it is murky in the dark, in the shadows. Again, just to kind of hide the fact that it's mainly a puppet and a person in a suit. Tom Woodruff, who actually is one of the owners of ADI, Amalgamated Dynamics Incorporated, I think, who created these collectibles. He played the monster. He played the dog alien in Alien 3. And the effect is a combination of a rod puppet. Back then, CGI was still not quite where it is today, so they had only limited use of CGI. So a lot of it had to be practical effects. So a lot of it was Tom Woodruff in a suit giving a performance as a monster, and then the rod puppet, where they actually had to use rods to kind of move him around. So there was a lot of great close-ups of, for instance, the head, the dome. There's that great scene, the great shot of the dog alien, basically, inches away from Sigourney Weaver's face, and just all slime and drool. I mean, that's a hero money shot, and they use that for the poster and the trailers. So there's a lot of great close-ups of the actual head, but the entire body, they only give you, like, I think, little quick flashes and glimpses, sometimes obscured with smoke and with darkness and shadows and steam and that type of thing. So ADI was a special effects company that did the effects for Alien 3, not Stan Winston Studios. But the people from ADI actually, I think, worked with Stan Winston before, and they struck out on their own, and they landed this gig. So that's pretty good for them. And later on, they partnered with Sideshow Collectibles to create a dog maquette, and this was well over 10 years ago. They only made 500 of those, and the scale, I think, was advertised as quarter scale, but when I think that you actually got it in hand, it was probably closer to 1 to 3.5 and maybe even 1/3 scale, because that dog maquette was massive. And I own that as well. It took me a while to get one that was unbroken. I'll get into that a little bit later. I'll do a separate video review of that dog alien, and then eventually I'll do the two of them side by side. But when you first, see the Sideshow dog alien, first of all, it is absolutely cast from the original mold of the rod puppet used in Alien 3. ADI made that available, and it's very authentic. I mean, again, it's from the special effects company that created the creature for the movie. And at that time, I think it was considered basically the most accurate dog alien available on the market. Its initial price tag was about $800, give or take, I believe. You can search that out in archives, in Sideshow's archives. But now it's reached, into the thousands of dollars stratosphere. Its market value may be affected now that such a magnificent work of art is out here to compete against it. But for, I think, true connoisseurs, you'll have a hard time letting go of that original Sideshow dog maquette, no matter what, because it's so iconic in its own right, with its own paint scheme and its own pose. But I'll get into that, of course, in more detail once I review that piece. I'm probably one of the few people, again, out there who own both. Most people, because of space and financial considerations, typically will get rid of the older piece to get this one. So in terms, again, of the history, that was done, became very, very rare. Secondary market value, just stratospheric. And then, of course, later on, over time, rumors came about that this piece was going to be in the offing. And when it first debuted, it just knocked everybody's socks off. Amazing, because most people felt that Sideshow ADI collaboration was never ever going to be surpassed. And here, of course, they gave us a prototype at the time that looked to be at least its equal, if not its superior. And that was over 3 years ago, believe it or not. I've waited 3 years, as all the other people like me, waited 3 years to get this piece in hand. There was a lot of delays, delayed quite a bit. And so and the question is, after all these delays, was the wait worth it? Well, as I've been sort of giving you a little bit of background, I've been moving him around, I think the answer is pretty obvious. That's a resounding yes. This is one of the best statues I've ever seen in terms of the paint job. Of course, we can't compare Alien collectibles with Predators or superheroes, DC, Marvel, etc. But in terms of just finish and authenticity and quality, it's pretty hard to surpass something like this. It really does feel like a 1/3 scale prop of the dog alien from the movie itself is sitting, in your house. And that was the kind of the dream and the ideal and the goal of both Prime 1 and Coolprops. And in that, they succeeded admirably, amazingly. And I don't know why there was a delay. Maybe it was just because of the paint app, maybe because of the dome. But whatever the reason, it was worth it. So how do we sort of begin to talk about it? I guess just to start, talk about the packaging. The original dog alien from Sideshow had a serious flaw. The flaw is that it came in basically just 3 pieces. The original dog alien had just the base, and then essentially the entire alien in one piece, and the only thing that was separate was the tail right here. And they had no stinking idea how to actually package the tail. They just put these big pieces of foam around it, and they just layered it tip up in the styrofoam. And again, I gotta believe that, you know, over 20% of those aliens had the tail snapped in pieces just when it got shipped. So finding an original alien dog without a repaired or shattered tail is pretty rare. It's a pretty big feat. And I bought one, and it came with the tail broken. So that was a heartbreaker. I had to, you know, send it back and got my money back. And then the second time I bought it, I actually had to drive to a collector locally, and I picked it up in person in my minivan to assure that the tail was not broken. And if I were to ever sell that, I don't know how I would package it to ensure that that tail wouldn't get broken, because it's just such poor planning. And so, in contrast, you know, Prime 1's packaging for this piece is impeccable. It comes in one box, 2 layers of styrofoam. Every piece, every part of the dog alien is wrapped in like black velvet cloth to protect the paint job. Extremely classy, and a lot more intelligent in terms of the way they packaged him. They split him apart in a lot better way, and also hid the seam lines so it's invisible. Unless you know where to look, you want to know where to put it at all. I mean, where the seam line is at all. So it comes with 2 different tongues, okay? And then the head, then the whole body. This arm comes off, and then this leg comes off. So left leg, right arm comes off. This thing here, the left arm has a big peg that slides in, and there's a smaller peg for the left leg. The tail comes in 2 pieces, one big piece like this, and then the actual tip of the tail also disarticulates. And then of course this tail was just amazingly beautifully packaged. Can't ask for anything more. So this piece is gonna get to its collectors in one piece without any damage, which is already like a huge improvement, okay, over the original. So number 1, the packaging absolutely phenomenal, boutique level, very, very pleased. Number 2, the base. I think the base is pretty simple, but it's massive in size and weight. It's just huge, and it gives you this, you know, this illusion of metal. You can see the grill over here, the grating. Okay, so let's just say, when you go close up, I mean, definitely the paint job stands out. It really feels like these are metal rivets, and you know, this is real grating. You feel the weight of it. Again, over 30 pounds from the base alone. These are candles right here. So you can get, again, getting all of this metal feeling. Remember, this is supposed to take place on a foundry. The planet is a foundry. So you can kind of get a feel for that old metal with all the wear and tear and the weathering. So the base, very, very beautiful. You know, it's a little bit more complicated than the original dog alien Maquette from Sideshow, but not much more, but a lot heavier, and I definitely appreciate that. I think the pose of the dog, I like the pose a lot better. It's a lot more stable. All 4, you know, extremities, the legs, I guess 4 legs. I call arms and legs, but in reality they're all legs, right? But the 2 front and the back, they're all touching the base, which is a big improvement. The other version has them sort of like mid-stride, and there's a gap between that dog's left knee and the base. And over time, I think all of it inevitably is going to touch and touch that base. So that was one of the criticisms of the old dog alien, was that gap between the left knee and the base, and just a small gap, no support, and the resin over time softens, and the thing just sort of touches the base and collapses under the base. So there's no danger of that. This is a lot more dynamic pose. I love the way they pose the tail, kind of whipping back and then over the shoulder. You can appreciate it in all its glory. In terms of authenticity, there's absolutely nothing you can say about that. This is 100% the rod puppet. They used the exact same rod puppet for this piece that they did for the original Alien 3. Dog Maquette from Sideshow. I'm sure again it's from ADI. And you can see with all of it, in its glory, how, where the rods go in and how they were able to kind of manipulate it to make it move. So definitely very, very good. And in terms of the sculpt, again, because this is cast from the original mold, all the details there, the paint job is breathtaking. Can a custom, kind of custom paint master who knows what he or she is doing and really knows the colorations of the dog alien, can they do a better job? Yes, they can, but for a production piece, this is stunning work. All of the details painted, glossed, has a very, very kind of glossy look, a wet look, kind of stuff you expect for the slime on top of an alien. And when you sort of just look at it, look at all the glistening paint on the feet, all the way up the legs. You look at the marriage of the detail along with the paint job and the finish. Again, it's just perfect. Look at the tail. Every single piece beautifully done and protected again during packaging. No chips, no rubs. And of course, that big iconic blade. The clear glass dome, perfect. Not too dark. Not too light. You can see the underlying bone underneath. This is, again, absolutely stunning all the way throughout. Here's the inner tongue, and there's a separate one right over here. They're all magnetized and keyed, so you can, again, go in and out with it. Now, if there is only one criticism that you can levy at this thing, and it is a nitpick, but I would be remiss in not mentioning it, even though, man, how can you complain when you can see my reflection in here actually with my phone, but the glistening dome, but how can you complain when you look at the detail of this dome? It's just amazing. Every inch of this is just breathtaking. But if there's one area that you can talk about maybe improving, is that unfortunately they just chose to paint the teeth instead of chroming it. And of course, they chromed the big chap. Coolprops did spend extra money. The paint was actually horrible for the big chap, in my opinion, but the dome was beautiful. The underlying skull, very nice. And they did actually chrome, not chrome paint, but literally chrome the teeth of the one-to-one big chap head. And if they had done it for this, it would have been perfect. Now, I don't know if the original dog alien had chrome teeth, to be honest with you. So maybe it would be movie accurate for it not to, but I think, really chroming the teeth, because the alien warrior has chrome, the big chap has chrome teeth, would have really set this piece off and brought it to the next level. Okay. But other than that, that's it. Even without that, this is a museum piece, literally a museum piece. I'm trying to go underneath here so you can see the undersurface of it. Not quite as well, unfortunately, because of my phone. there's a limitation here. I don't have flash on, but again, hopefully you can appreciate how beautiful this is. Kind of back it up. But if they chromed it, it would have been crazy. It's also pretty hard to display him the way you really want to. I mean, this is sort of like the best, in my opinion, like you appreciate the whole thing the best, but he's sort of turning away from you. If you want to go head on like this, you don't quite see the body quite as well. Probably maybe this way as well would be a wonderful way of displaying him. So it's a little bit awkward maybe to showcase him. He really is a centerpiece statue where you should put him in the center so people can walk all around it. But most people, of course, are not going to be able to do that. But there you go. Okay. I think I've ranted and raved about this enough. This is definitely one of the best collectibles out there, the best statue out there. I think it's better than the dog from Sideshow ADI. I own that one. I can't believe I'm saying that because that's a grail piece, an amazing piece. But this thing, I think, does surpass it in a lot of ways. So I never thought I would say that, but I have to give credit to Prime One. They've really knocked us out of the ballpark. It's not often that you say that it's worth a 3-year wait, but this is definitely worth a 3-year wait. So here you go. Hopefully, again, this review helps you decide. The regular is still available. I don't think it will be for very long, but if you have a chance, the regular is absolutely worth getting. Now, since we're on that subject, of course, I have the DX version. And it's so classy because a lot of times when companies give you a different head, they just give you the head and then it's just kind of stupid in my opinion because you don't know what to do with the head. It's just laying around. This is not like a Lego or a toy where you want to just change things around constantly. And so it's really nice that when Prime One Studios decides to give you another head, especially for this, they were considerate enough to actually create an entire separate base with a Nutani base, same quality of painting, and then an entire separate shoulder and mini bust to put this head on. So this is of course a closed mouth version. It's all magnetized. You can put this on interchangeably. It's a little bit tricky because the back part of the head comes very close to the shoulder here. So they do recommend putting a nice piece of cloth, or a microfiber wipe. Just protect it so you don't accidentally scratch the paint when you're manipulating the magnet in and out. But here again, you can appreciate the beautiful clear dome, beautiful finish, beautiful paint all the way through. The mouth here is closed. Again, some dust here, but just gorgeous. Look at how beautiful that thing is. Again, it came completely wrapped in black velvet, so there's not one scratch or chip, which, Coolprops, big chap, life-size 1-1 bust for almost $2,000, I think. Didn't have that, and it came sometimes with little scratches, which is unacceptable. So again, these companies have a lot to learn. You have a lot to learn from Prime One and how they package. I think up there with Maquette and XM Studios, Prime One definitely packages the best. Those three companies neck and neck for boutique packaging. And this is, by the way, if I wanted a 1-to-1, I have a 1-to-1 dog alien bust from Coolprops. And it's nice enough. I do like it. I think there's a lot of nitpicks with that one. That life-size bust, I did a review of that. You can take a look at it. But the dome is a little bit too dark. The teeth is not chromed. The paint mediocre. But the biggest complaint is, again, that one just gives you this head. And if this just gives you this head, same thing with the big chap that Coolprops does. I know it's cheaper, but it just makes it look like I just bought this big sausage, this long big sausage. And what I really want, again, like the Alien Warrior and some of the older big chaps from HCG, this makes such a big difference. The shoulder makes such a big difference. Even the custom heads that are being painted out there, only goes down to here, you know? And again, that doesn't do much. This shoulder piece all the way down, this here, if they can make a life-size dog alien like this, that would be truly perfection. But instead, we can only, of course, be happy with the 1/3 version. But a 1/1 version of this would be, in my opinion, absolutely perfect. And that's really not being done except by Yavuz Kantoglu. He's a German custom alien painter. And he had actually custom sculpt the shoulder to make it good. I think he only added this. I don't think he added this extra part, but that's the closest to perfection, his version that I can think of. But you know, it cost quite a pretty penny because think about it, he had to actually, you know, sculpt, you know, the shoulder added on. It's a lot of extra labor, a lot of extra resin. But he has a life-size version that's basically as close as it comes. But I would prefer even more of the shoulder here. I think this, what Prime One created amazingly just to put this head on, is the perfect 1/1 bust. But here we have a mini perfection, 1/3 scale version. Again, no detail was spared to create the paint effect. Even though again, this is just to hold the alternate head, they spent just as much time giving you a gorgeous paint job and casting of the bust here to put the head on. So when you put the two of these guys behind glass, you know, I'll move this a little bit closer. This is the extra tongue. This is the one thing, I don't know why they gave us another tongue like this. I mean, is it really even that different? When you look at the two, it's a little bit odd. You know, one is open, the other one is more open. I don't get it, but okay, fine. I appreciate it. I'll put it aside. But there's not really much place to put the extra tongue. But when you look at these two side by side, that's just amazing. So let me try to back up enough so you can actually see that. That's a money shot right there. This is truly an amazing piece. So this is what you get for your money. And your 3 years of waiting, the definitive dog alien maquette from Alien 3. So again, I'm going to make another review later on with the original sideshow dog, and then I'll do a comparison of, well, with the two pieces side by side. I'm going to have to use the kitchen table for that again because both of these are just so huge, both 1/3 scale. There's no other way to do it, but that'll come on quite a bit later because it's so heavy. It really took a lot out of me just kind of moving it here, and I have to kind of gently move it back. So there you have that. But that's what you can look forward to later on. But for now, again, this is the definitive dog alien maquette. So hope you enjoyed all of that. Until next time, do take care.